Hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to another Rediscover, or actually Herontdekken podcast. Today we do it in English, and it's the first time we do this podcast in English because until now we only had Dutch guests on the couch. As everybody knows, I used to work in the corporate world, and I started a journey on looking for a new direction after 20 years working in the corporate world. We had a couple of episodes about mind and health. And after I quit my job, I started actually the rediscovering of my own journey, my own health, my own body. And I also started to invest and follow best personal development events from the biggest people of the world. And I had the privilege to follow an online virtual event 5 years ago during COVID. It's called the A Factor. And I was very happy that it was also possible to have that event now live last week in Amsterdam for 3 days. It was a great opportunity and I learned a lot. And I can tell you, for me, it was a life-changing event, and we're going to discuss about that. So I'm very honored that after that event, the guy who is giving all the training and all his knowledge, and he's a neuroencoding specialist, he's in my podcast, and his name is Joseph McClendon. So Joseph, welcome in the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for being at the event as
well.
It
was great. We're going to discuss that.
Yes.
It was a lot of energy, and we learned a lot again. Even though I learned it 5 years ago, it was it came up again in my mind, and
right.
I did a lot, but also forgot a lot. So it's good
I learn a lot as well.
Yeah,
and it's really great to, I was sharing this with my business partners, Stefan and Herber, that I missed coming back here to Holland. Holland, the audiences are so special. So it was a very, very great time.
Yeah, we discussed that. I just bounced on the boundaries here in the studio. I do that very often.
Yes.
It's in my living room. You have three at home. You just mentioned to me. We can explain what it does with your body and your mind during the podcast.
We call those rebounders, and it's just, in case you don't know, it's a small trampoline.
Yeah.
And the physics of it are that when you bounce up and down, and the health benefits are when you bounce up and down, it makes both sides of your brain, both hemispheres of your brain operate at the same time. Yeah. And the beauty of that is it sends positive signals as well as dopamine and as well as endorphins and as well as oxytocin, which are all the great hormones that heal us, give us energy, and to give us insight. Those go through our bodies all at the same time. Yeah. So it's always a good thing to kind of do that to energize ourselves.
Yeah. We're going to discuss it because that's part of the exercise you give us during the event. Before we continue, can you explain who you are? Because I come out of the corporate world.
Yes.
And I experienced 6 years ago when I quit my job, I had no clue who you are. Sorry for saying that. And I also know a lot of my friends, relations in that world have no clue because I asked them. So can you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Absolutely. By profession, I have a doctorate in psychology. As a matter of fact, I'm a neuropsychologist. And I had a practice in Los Angeles for many years where I help people get over fears and phobias and emotional challenges and things that hinder their lives. And although I really love that because I'm able to do it in a very short amount of time and get lasting results, I also wanted to make sure that I could do it at a deeper level and help many, many more people. Because somebody did that for me at a time in my life when I was 17 and a half years old. 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin. I live in America, by the way, in case you can't tell.
Yeah. We can hear that.
Yeah. And that left me homeless. It left me hating myself and really suicidal. And somebody changed my life by giving me the book, Think and Grow Rich. And I read the book. And I did the exercises in the book. And as a result, my life changed. And when I went back to him to thank him, to tell him, the person that gave me the book, thank you for having changed my life. How can I serve you? How can I give back to you? How can I repay you? What he told me was, Joseph, you repay me by helping other people. You do that for other people. And that's why I do what I do. So kind of the same with you with corporate. When I also am a musician. I wanted to be a musician at the time, but when I got out of college, I realized that traditional therapy and traditional ways of helping people in those types of areas weren't really getting the job done, and they weren't really going at the core issues as quickly as they could.
Yeah. So how did you end up in doing what you're doing now? Because is it because of the book Think and Grow Rich of Napoleon Hill, or because you start doing this and before you were homeless? So that's a big contrast.
Yeah, well, because I always say this: physician, heal thyself first. And what that means is, like I said, I wanted to be a musician. I went to school for psychology because my father, well-meaning, and I love them for doing it, said that education was more important. He didn't really believe that being a musician was going to be fruitful. But I was afraid to quit my job. And I went to a seminar, oddly enough, and with my now business partner as well, Tony Robbins, and I saw him change somebody in a very short amount of time. And I thought, well, that's what I want to do. And I learned it and I used it on myself first. And kind of the same thing with you. I realized that my job that I was doing at the time, it wasn't corporate, but it was in a corporate field, was not something I wanted to do. I didn't know who I was and all those things. And I certainly wasn't being a musician. So I used those techniques to change myself. I quit my job, I became a musician. And then when I became successful at being a musician, got a recording contract and all those things. But when that came to an end, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Did you rediscover there yourself?
I did. I rediscovered my passion, which is to do what I said that I promised that guy, which is to help people. And that's what put me on this journey, what I do right now.
Yeah. So you've impacted many lives in the world.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What does it really drive to help other people in their journey, in their personal development?
I would say three things. Number one is, for myself, I'm fulfilling, we all have a purpose. And I personally believe that our biggest purpose, all of our purposes, maybe not our biggest purpose, because people would think about, okay, what is my purpose in life? I believe that our purpose is to help our fellow man. I believe that all of our purpose is to, it's like when we have children, you take care of our children, right? You're helping somebody else. So that's my biggest purpose. The second thing is to help people help other people. And so through the methodologies that we teach, like the event that you went to, that's what we do, is help people to help themselves and then help people help other people. And then the third thing is help those people help other people as well. That's how we're going to make the biggest changes in the world.
I'll come back to that later because I have a question regarding that.
Sure.
On the number of people that were attending the event. You say life is exactly what you dare to make of it.
Yes.
Dare to be magnificent. We bounced this weekend a lot. And also before we started this podcast, I bounced on the bouncer here in the room. There is something you call the law of attraction, or you call it the attraction factor. Mm-hmm. Can you briefly explain, without all the details we did learn during the event,
sure.
what it is and what's
the event
different?
Was 4 days or 3 days long.
Yeah. So give a short 1 minute summary. No, just kidding. Yeah. What's the difference between the law of attraction and the attraction factor you
Absolutely.
teach us?
Well, first off, the laws of attraction, they're a very real thing. And if you ask other people, you ask most people what the laws of attraction are, they're going to say, well, what I think about is what I attract into my life. And some of that is true, but it's really important to understand that we say it's the law of attraction, abundance, and magnetism. Because attracting something is one thing. You can attract something to you, but if you don't feel like you deserve it, if you don't think like you can do it, if you don't feel good about yourself and all those things, you will push it away. You will sabotage it. Mm-hmm. And so the laws of attraction are only one of the 21 laws of magnetism. And the difference is this: attracting, the way that we teach the things that we do, we not only teach you to attract what you want into your life, but how to attract you to it. Because if you don't, you'll sabotage. We all do that. We've all done things like we think we want something, we go after it, and as it gets closer to us, we do stupid things. We late for meetings, or we won't make those calls, or we do dumb things. We've all sabotaged. And the reason we sabotage is because we're afraid, because we have fear. And so the A factor is 3 different things. And it's really important that people get this, whether you're in corporate, whether you're your personal life or whatever. That number one, that you must, as I said, physician, heal thyself. number one, and that is to learn how to get over your own fears. And there's 10 of them. I call them the toxic 10. And they are procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, stress, overwhelm, and fear of rejection. Yeah. And so to learn how to reduce those or mitigate those. Number two is to learn the process of magnetism. And then number three is the process of being able to change our psychology about ourselves.
You said magnetism. What makes it that it really attracts the things you want?
Three things. Knowing what you want. That's number one. Most people don't know what they want. They think as a matter of fact, if you ask people, what do you want? They'll tell you what they don't want. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to have this. I don't want to have that. But when they think like that, they're literally pushing what they want away. What they really want is everybody wants to be wealthy. But wealthy doesn't just mean having money. Wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And when you get people clear on that and they get alive about that, then that's step number one. So once they know what they want, then you teach them how to get to, as I said, bring that into their lives. And then the third thing is to teach them how to go get it without the fear.
Hearing this, I experienced that it works. You can tell this and say this. So if I do this, then it works.
Right.
But it's based on magnetism, on the laws of the nature?
It is nature. Gravity is magnetism. Everything is made of the same three things: protons, neutrons, and electrons. As human beings, we have the ability to manipulate those things more than any other animal or any other creature or any other substance on the planet, because we can do it with our mind. How we think will determine how we feel, and how we feel will determine what we do, and what we do will determine what we get. And the best part about it is we can adjust how we think. The challenge is, though, we've allowed ourselves to be programmed to think a certain way about ourselves, about other people, and about the world around us.
Yeah. What you said, people in that way, people have a certain thinking, they have emotions. What you said, the fear of rejection, the fear of being not good enough.
Yes.
There's a true technique to eliminate that and replace it by something positive.
That's part of the A factor.
Yeah. So
yes.
we learned that during the event.
Yes. You didn't just learn it. You didn't just learn it. Here's what's really important to know is that knowledge is not power. Knowing something doesn't get it done.
Correct.
People that want to lose weight know how to lose weight. They just don't do it. And for a myriad of reasons, for all those 10 reasons. So we don't just teach you, we have the experience. As you know,
yeah, I know.
You have the experience. And I tell everybody, bring me your worst nightmare, bring me your worst fear, your worst memory, your worst inhibition, because there's a process that we're going to do. It's not something that I'm going to do to you. I'm going to teach you how to do it. We're going to do it together, and you're no longer going to be able to feel that. And then I'm going to give you something to do when I'm gone, so that continues, so it sustains, and it becomes your natural way of the way that you are.
Yeah. Rediscovering yourself or your health or your often involves shedding old beliefs and emotions, what you just said.
Sure, absolutely.
How do you really effectively get rid of those?
Through the process.
Through the process.
One of the processes that you learned was called the stop technique. And again, it always goes back to the same thing. Number one, you got to know what you want. You see, when people go, I don't know why I don't have money, or I don't know why I'm in, like yourself, in corporate world and I'm not happy. Okay, I don't know why. Well, the question is, what do you want? They go, I don't know why I'm not. That's not the question. The question is, what do you want? And so part of what we do, as you know, is help people get clear on what they want. And it doesn't, in the very beginning, it doesn't have to be so specific. That's why I say it's these three things: health, happiness, and financially abundant. If you just go, oh, that's what I'm going to go after, then all of the other things start to fall into place. But here's the best part about it, is you start, when you're going after that, guess what you're not looking at? What you don't want.
You don't want.
And when you're not looking at what you don't want, you're pushing that away from you and going after this. And then all those other things, you start to discover that, hey, I love music, I love dance, I love to do this. I'm assuming that this podcast and then what you're doing now with your life is a result of you finding out and doing something about it versus just going, oh, I don't know what I want to do and this isn't great in corporate America. You did something about it, and as a result, you're helping people.
What I wrote down as a result of the weekend for myself.
Yeah.
It gave me clarity.
Yes.
I got rid of some negative emotions, and I realized that exactly what you say. This podcast it feels like the way to go, the direction I want to go. It feels good. It gives me energy, the right direction. I give something back to the people, to the world, and it feels so good. And I just did it because there was one morning I drove my car to the studio. There was no studio yet. Guys, I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to let you know during the process what I do, how I do it, all the obstacles. And now we are here together. So how great is that? And it proved the weekend that it really works.
Yeah. It does. So you found out what you wanted, which was, you said, like you said it, not me. You said I was unhappy in corporate world.
Yeah, I was.
And a part of it was, and if you got it from the A Factor, that's great. If you got it somewhere else, that's great as well. Somewhere along the way, you said, I'm going to do a podcast. And I will also say this. What I just said was what I truly believe is that when we as human beings realize that as we help other people, that's when we're fulfilled. You didn't just do this podcast for you. You did it because you want to help other people.
Yeah.
And then when that feels good, then you move towards that, then heaven and earth show up to assist us in getting what we want.
Yeah, and that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your insight in what you do does with your clients and with your visitors and people who attend the events?
My insight is, I would say my insight is this. I truly believe with all my heart, all my soul, that everybody has the ability and the right to create the life that they desire. And I truly believe that there's so very little methodology or process to do those things that people are aware of. And so my insight is that when people that are aware of that, not just for themselves, but the people around them. Like, for example, if this audience, if people are listening to this and they're in corporate world, and when I say in corporate world, they're either a manager or a boss or something like that, they still have to work with other people.
Correct.
And so what my true belief is that we always say, physician, heal thyself first. And so to help people figure out their own fears, their own inhibitions, their own challenges, and get beyond those 10 things for themselves, so that they feel like you do, so that they feel like all the people you just experienced at the A Factor. And then have them help those other people that are around them, because that makes business grow up. I'm not telling everybody you got to get out of corporate.
No.
I'm just saying that, listen, you should be happily achieving what you want. You should be healthy, happy, and financially abundant doing it.
What is the doubt you feel or see around you in the world regarding your events or the process or what you are teaching us?
I think that there are so many people that are there. First off, there are people that are negative all over the place, and there are people that are scared, and they may look at what I do and this type of thing as being unicorns and crystals and rainbows and that kind of thing. And I've been doing this for close to 40 years, well over 6 million people that I've had the privilege of working in front of. And you're one of them, obviously. And you would not be talking to me right here now if it didn't get a result for you. And so you can have people that will, if you go online, you can find people say bad things about anything at all. But I always tell people, until you do it, not try it, until you do it, you don't know.
There is a brand in the world that has a slogan, just do it.
It is. But here's the deal. Here's the challenge with that. That slogan is great. It's a great slogan. Here's the challenge with it. How do you just do it? How do you just do something when procrastination is the number one thief of our dreams. It is, because people know that they have to do something. When people know that that just doing it means get up and go to the gym, just doing it means eat healthy food, just doing it means, make this phone call or doing whatever. They know it, but then they don't do it. Then just do it is just knowledge. So there has to be process. And the process is to, let's look at it like this. The human brain, remember what we taught. It's think, feel, do, have. What you think is what you'll do, which is what you'll feel. What you feel is what you'll do and what you will have. The human brain actually is made up of connections, neural connections. Now, they are apart, and you have what we call a spark in between them, those kinds of connections. But when you do something enough times, and you can see it, you can go on YouTube and you can see that these connections, when you do things enough times, they become a real thing. They become not just these neural associations and an electrical spark in between. It's actually, it looks like a nerve. It's a vein. And when that happens, that's when it becomes automatic. And that's when it becomes a habit. Now, we want to build good habits. We want to build those habits that make us get up and go to the gym or get up early and do those things. We want to build that. But we also have ingrained in us a habit that says procrastinate, eat more cake, and do those things. So the methodology, the process that we have is how to separate the neural associations or the let's just say the connections in our brain that are keeping those bad habits, not just separate them, but create a gap in between them and then fill that gap with something that serves you. So that now when you think about going and doing what you want, instead of procrastinating, you get excited to go about doing that.
And I know from experience now this works.
Yeah.
Funny thing, there's more and more coming personal development in the world. Mm-hmm. If you look at the Netherlands, we have 18 million people living here, and 10 million people are between 18 and 65.
Or what?
10 million people are between the age of 18 and 65.
Right, got it. Mm-hmm.
There were 300 people in the room last weekend. That's not even 1%.
It's a fraction of a percent.
It's a fraction. What do you have any idea what's the reason why actually so small number of people are investing or doing something with personal development? Because it brought me so much the last 6 years. My development was sales skills, management skills.
Yeah.
How to sell more, but all on skill set, nothing with your body or your mind or whatever. What's your opinion on the reason that so limited number of people are doing this?
Because we are not taught, whether it's corporate America, whether it's school, we're not taught to work on ourselves, on our psychology. We're taught to work on our skills to, like you said, sell and to do all of these things. We're not taught how to help other people feel and function better. And I would always also go as far as to say there's really no money in teaching people to do that, because most of the world stays the way that it does by keeping people doing what they do.
Yeah, correct.
And so to answer your question, I think that, and I choose to look at it like this way. You asked me about an insight. I choose to look at it this way, and that is that it's got to start somewhere. There's only 300 people there at this one, but you also know that I do events that are 1,500, 15,000. We just did an event a few weeks ago at 60,000 people. And so it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands, I'm coming back here next year to do it again. I love it here. And I've come here for several years with my partners at Success Kids. COVID happened in between there and all that stuff and everything. So we're growing it here as well. And people like yourselves, and I thank you for this, spreading the word, because people get it that, wait a minute, I got to do something different. If I don't, I'm going to do what everybody else does.
Yeah. You always say, smile. Why is it so important to do that, and what does it do with your nervous system?
That's a great question. First off, everything that I do is simple. The saying is complexity is the enemy of execution. If you make things too complicated, people won't do it. When we smile, Look, you have 80 different muscles on your face. It's the largest concentration of muscles on your whole body, other than your hand. I think second is your hand. And each one of those muscles is designed to 80 different muscles on your face, and it's designed to give you a different expression. Okay, and each expression carries with it makes your body release hormones and chemicals inside you. It just so happens when you smile, it forces your body to release dopamine, which is the euphoric hormone that makes you feel good. It forces your body to release oxytocin, which is the love hormone. It forces your body to release what's the third one? So hormone. I'm sorry, oxytocin, dopamine, and I forgot the third one. But there are other neuro associations, other chemicals that your body releases that causes you to feel good. And when that happens, then your brain always goes, what just happened that made me feel good? And it goes, oh, I did this, I did that. And in this case, we teach people to do the hard stuff, to feel bad on purpose. And then when you snap yourself out of it, which is what we show you how to do, whether it's jumping on that trampoline or whatever it is, or the stop technique, which you learn, here's what happens. And then you celebrate and you smile, your brain goes, let's do it again. And it always looks for that. So smiling is unbelievably simple, but it is so effective.
How does then you say...
Endorphins. I'm sorry, that was the third one. My mind went blank. So it's endorphins.
You also often say, I am freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Why is that? Has it to do with the same methodology?
Yeah. Again, simplicity. The most pleasant voice. Let me say this. The most pleasant sound there is in the world is the sound of your own name being said by you, followed by something positive and wonderful. Even if you don't believe it in the very beginning. If you say, whatever this person is saying is their name. If I say to myself, I, Joseph McClendon III, love myself, and I love you, Joseph, then that resonates with your soul. I know it sounds crazy, but that resonates with your soul. And when your soul goes, that feels good. And guess what? The dopamine, the oxytocins, and everything that gets released comes into your brain at the time, and you start to believe it. And when you start to believe it, that's what you prefer. And psychology is just your belief in yourself, other people in the world around you.
We all learned and did a journey event. What is your biggest takeaway from the event from last weekend?
From the A Factor, it's always, the biggest takeaway is to watch the change in people. Because we set it up in 3 different ways. The first day, you're going to, like I said, and each day, it's not just coming to learn something. As you know, we literally do stuff and we get a result. It's so important to get a result. The second day, we do something else and we get a result that's based on what you did on the first day. And then I also, by the way, give people homework.
Yeah.
You don't hear it all about.
This is real life.
Yeah, real life. Sirens going by. Give people homework that day. At the end of the day, here's your assignment. I want you to do this assignment. So when they show up the next day, they're already changed. They're already different. Then we give them another assignment and a process that they get another change on that day. On the second day for you, it was the stop technique, right? And then on the third day, we give them another assignment of something to do. So that builds on that. And it changes their identity, how they feel about themselves. And then we give them something to do for when we're gone. Because see, when the seminar's over, that's great, and they're going to have a result, but we give them something to do, and it takes no more than 30 minutes of your day. If you just do it for 10 days, life changes.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway was that you actually can create life.
Yeah.
And with everything in energy, and it is based on the law of the nature. So I always like to be, what are the fundamentals behind something you learn, that you can influence your mind, influence your emotions, your body, your whole life. And it's, I mean, if I'm looking back to the past in the corporate world, I did it. Actually, I used it.
Yes.
I want to have a deal. I said, I visualized it. I felt it. Took action with the team, and we got the deal. So looking back, I already did it, and now I'm aware of it, and can really use this by doing it in the proper way.
Yes.
To figure out what I want.
And if you don't mind my saying, what you're doing is you're helping other people do it as well.
Yeah.
And that to me, the natural progression. You got results, right?
Yeah.
And you and I are having this conversation not because you just went and had a good time. You got results, and you got results because you did the process. And now you're sharing that with other people.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest things that I like to say is this, and you, as you know, you did it 5 years ago?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Okay, great.
Oh, the previous one, 5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Why'd you come back the second time?
Because I decided for myself first to invest every year in an event like this. I felt, keep doing it.
Yes.
And I mean, you forget things. And a few things I reckon, oh, that was also online. The stories you tell about, I'm not going to disclose.
Yeah, yeah.
A few things, I recognize them. But then again, the techniques again, because sometimes they fade away.
It does. Listen, and I'm going to say this, and I encourage people to do this as well. And you're an example of it. Okay, we have so many people that come back a third, fourth, and fifth time, and they don't come back just because it's entertaining. They come back because here's the way that life is. The more we do something, the better we get at it. I call it human physics. Yeah. The more we do it, the people that are the most successful are the ones that stay in the game. And so here's what's great about it as well, is they don't just come by themselves. They bring their friends, their family with them as well, because they want to help other people. And I always say to people, look, if you leave here and you go back to your regular world, then you're the only one that's vibrating at that level. And you're going to help other people that way. But the best way to do it is to bring them along with you the next time. And so, we're doing this right now. We're encouraging other people. You're telling other people as well. But I encourage people, come and bring your family with you. Bring all those other people with you as well, because then they get it as well. And it's not that they get that you're having this good time. It's that they get that their lives can change, and their lives change, and they learn and experience things that they would never learn and experience anywhere else.
That was the A factor. Back to emotions, back to fears. What was your biggest fear in the past?
Same as everybody else, fear of rejection.
How did it show up?
It showed up as my not doing my original fear. Okay, so like I said to you, when those guys beat me up when I was 17 years old, okay, it wasn't just what they did to me. It's what they said to me. They said some very terrible things about the color of my skin. They said some terrible things about the person I am and the worth that I was. And that made me believe that. And so I went downhill from there. And so what changed in me when I read the book, that's where it started. When I read the book was, hey, it's possible that I can change how I think. I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just doing the very basics. And now I do. Now I know it's a science. And so for other people, here's what I say. You don't have to go what I went through. Wherever you are in your life right now, I can look at somebody, you mentioned the Neuroencoding Institute. I can look at somebody, talk to somebody in a very few minutes, sometimes seconds, I can tell what's going on inside their head. Be clear, it's not what's wrong, it's what's going on inside their head. And then it's my job to help them tell themselves what they want.
What is your biggest fear now?
My biggest fear now? That's a really good question. I will tell you, I have a 17-year-old son. And my biggest fear is out of my hands, quite honestly, is that he will learn some bad lessons that he doesn't need to when it's outside of my hands.
Like?
Drugs, alcohol, any of those other things. Now, I've done my job, and I've done a really good job. He's a really good kid and everything, and I don't really have to worry about that. But once he's outside of my influence, the world is going to, and I believe I've equipped him very well. But if I was to say fear, that'd be my fear. You know, I'm a parent, and you always, you know, have a fear that your child is going to be in danger in some way. But
Did you ever talk with him about what you know when you teach and you do for other people and for yourself?
Can you imagine
how
what it would
how
be?
influenced this boy?
Could you imagine what it'd be like to have me for a father?
That's
The
what you
answer
asked.
is yes. The answer is yes. And he's come to me, he's come with me to events. He's seen, since he's a baby, since he's a kid, his dad on stage in front of thousands. I've even brought him on stage. I've even had him introduce me sometimes. So he knows that. And, you know, as a parent, all of us parents, all we can ever do is give them experiences, give them knowledge, give them, you know, any kind of wisdom that we possibly can, and send them out there into the world. So
You travel a lot around the world.
Yes.
All kind of big events. You have a kid, he's 17 years old now. How do you combine? Because I know from experience, I work 80 hours a week. My kids don't complain about that I was not there. But it was a hard time sometimes to combine. How do you combine your work and traveling around the world with raising a child?
Well, first off, I'm not gone every day. When I travel, like for now, here's a perfect example of it. I'm gone 5 days, right? But then I'm not going to travel again for another 2 or 3 weeks. And all that time, I'm with my son. I will be honest with you, COVID was a bit of a blessing to me, because before then I was traveling a lot more, and now I'm not. So people look, and that's a great question to ask, because people see me out and they think that that's what I'm doing every day, and I'm not. So I've always been, you know, always in my son's life, always. I've been to 99% of all of his sports games and things like that. As a matter of fact, on Wednesday when I get back, he's a volleyball player, and I'll go to his volleyball game. So I'm there for him. I'm there for him more than my dad was for me. And I don't hate myself. I hate my dad for it. I don't blame him for it. He had to work very hard. You know.
Did you rediscover something for yourself the moment you got a child or
Oh
something?
man, oh man. Here I had discovered 3 things. Immediately as he was born, I discovered, and a lot of parents will say this, exactly what unconditional love means. I only knew him for a few seconds, and I would give my life for him. Second thing I noticed was, this is his life, not mine. And what I realized is that he's going to have, my job is to protect him, to love him, to teach him, and to do all those things and prepare him. But this is his life, and he's going to have a life that's different than mine, so don't try to make him like mine. And the third thing is that this kid is going to enter this world and have other experiences that are not like mine, and that my job is to train him, and to train him to leave the nest one day.
Isn't it difficult? You say it's his life to interrupt or interfere in his life if things go the wrong direction? Or is that normal like a parent?
He's a teenager now.
Yeah, yeah.
When
I
he
know.
was little,
I have two.
it was easy. When he's a teenager now, and teenagers, you know, we all do. You know, we want our own road, and we want to think like we do. So it's I'm not going to say it's difficult. It's different now, and I have to approach him differently. I approach him more like a young man than a child. And he listens to me different. You know, when he was a kid, it was just like, I'm his hero, and it's just like everything. And now it's just like, sometimes, you know, if you have teenagers, you know, they treat you like, you know, you've got a plague. You know, I used to be the cool dad, you know, it's just like, this is my dad, and, you know, all this stuff and everything. And now it's just like, hey, you know, if I take him to school, it's like, drop me off here. So he doesn't want me to drive him to school so people see me.
Is he mirroring you?
He is in a lot of ways, in a whole lot of ways.
Can you give an example?
Because he, at his school, he is very well known for doing speeches and motivating people, and his friends call him, and I hear him on the phone talking, you know, telling him things that I know he learned from hearing me doing things. And he joined a film class at his school, so 2 days a week, they broadcasted to all the classrooms that he is one of the commentators, like a news commentator. So yeah, he mirrors me in a lot of ways.
But is he also like a mirror for you, that he reflects something back to you, saying that don't do this?
Yeah. Oh
Or
yeah.
keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No doubt. Without question. He teaches me things as well.
Like?
Well, like for example, I will see him doing something, and I will want to go in and tell him, "Don't do that." Okay. And I watch him, like he likes to play video games, and I will watch him let somebody make their own mistakes so that they can learn.
Yeah, I start laughing because I recognize that, and sometimes we're not aligned on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Nowadays, you see a lot of burnout becoming bigger problem in the world. I see it like it's becoming the new smoking. A lot of top performers getting burnout somewhere in their career. With all the hard work you do, all the ultimate performance you do already for the last 40 years, did you ever got burnout or were close to it?
I'm not going to say that it was burnout. It was knowing that I wanted something else and not knowing how to get out of what I was doing. Meaning, but I will comment to that about where other people are with burnout. But you asked me about myself. When I put myself through college as a dental technician, making teeth. Okay, and I was afraid to quit my job. I told you that. I didn't know how to quit my job because I was afraid. You know, my father would always go, "You got to get a good education." So I stayed in school. Even after I got my degrees, I still stayed in school, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't quit my job. But I was tired of that job, and the job was not getting me where I wanted to go. So that's the closest I came to being burnout. And when I learned that was just fear of rejection of my father.
So what were the signals you got for yourself that you were that close?
Yeah, great question. I invested in real estate at a very young age. And I was making a lot of money at real estate, but I was still working my regular job. And I wanted to quit my job to go to do music. And I told myself the day that my income from my houses was 1 penny more than my job, that's the day I quit my job. Well, I was looking at my bank statement and I was looking at my paycheck. The bank statement almost doubled what I was doing on my job. And something inside of me snapped. And it wasn't good. Because what happened to me was I realized that I'd been lying to myself because that didn't happen overnight. That I'd been lying to myself for months. And now it was time to quit my job. And I didn't know what to do. And I was scared. Because there was something inside that says, I can't do this. I can't do this. I got to do it. I can't do it. And that's when I learned about the neurosciences, if you will, outside of traditional therapy, for lack of a better term.
What did you do to prevent to go over the edge of burnout?
I did something about it. I went what I tell everybody else is I've been fortunate that at the bottom of my life that I told you about before when I was homeless, somebody gave me that book. Now, I was also fortunate that my father taught me discipline and things like that, and I did what the book said. So if the question is, what would I say to somebody that else that's getting ready to go over the edge? Step back from the edge, take a deep breath and put a smile on your face and go, what do I want? Because if you're already at the edge, here's what you're going. If you go close to the edge, you're going, I don't like this. This isn't good. I don't want this anymore. But I don't know what I want. So you're looking at what you don't want and moving in that direction. So instead, step back and put a smile on your face. I know it's hard to do because then what your brain goes is you become optimistic. And optimistic does not mean every cloud has a silver lining or that every, the glass is half full. Optimistic means that you see more options. And in this case, the options are to learn the skill of ridding yourself of the fear and replacing it with something that serves you.
You are 70 years old now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're still on stage with a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
You just performed 3 days. Almost every day you were on stage for the whole time.
All day. Mm-hmm.
journey A factor event. What is your secret for that amount of energy, even though you're already or 70?
I'm wealthy. I'm healthy. I'm happy. And I'm financially abundant. And all of those things work together. And I say that not to brag or to boast. It is a long time ago, oh gosh, 40 years ago, I learned the skill of getting over. And by the way, those procrastinations, hesitation, fear of failure, all of those things, those 10 things, they keep us in the mode that the world teaches us that that's the way you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
The world teaches it that way more than ever before. The cell phone is designed to keep you focused on the cell phone. The television is designed to keep you focused on that. It's telling you what to eat. It's telling you what to feel. It's telling you what to fear. It's telling you all of those things. Mankind was never, ever, ever meant to be entertained as much as we are now, ever.
You are getting emotional now. Is there what's the reason behind that?
I get emotional because it is something that I see so much damage being done, and it's why we do the A factor. You know, I'm so thankful. I've got some great partners, Gerber and my friend Stefan, that bring us here to the Netherlands, and I've got great people around me. I've got great mentors and those kinds of things because we're doing our part to break that cycle.
Great.
To break that cycle, because if you don't, then guess what? You're going to get caught up in that trap. And everybody that is not learning how to eliminate those fears and replace them with something else, everybody is going to, you said, somehow go over the edge. And they do it every day by drinking too much alcohol or smoking cigarettes or doing narcotics or watching too much television or scrolling through all of that stuff. That's the norm of life. But it's something that I call being a megapreneur. And that is to break away from the norm of doing things. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, that's great. But if you want to be a megapreneur and operate in that upper 3 to 5% of the people in the world that make a difference, make more money, healthier or happy, and all those things, then get the skills to do that. And you don't get the skills just by reading a book and getting knowledge. You get the skills by learning it. That's why we created the A Factor. By learning it and getting the results right now, and then having something to do so that you practice it and it becomes your default.
Yeah. So that keeps you fit. What's your guilty pleasure?
Say again?
What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure? Playing too much bass guitar.
Is that a guilty pleasure? Is that bad for you? It is.
It's not bad for me at all, but it's guilty. But I may play it more than I should sometimes. That's just, what I do. I have disciplined myself. And by the way, I'm not telling you or anybody else that you have to absolutely abstain from ever eating another piece of chocolate or anything like that. I'm saying do it in moderation. I'm saying if it is something that is damaging you, absolutely stop it. If you're doing drugs and things like that are damaging you, absolutely stop that. But I'm not this kind of person that people look at me, that guy has no faults and has no guilty pleasures, if you will.
So you actually say they say practice what you preach.
Yes.
You do it. Do you neglecting yourself sometimes?
Do I what?
Neglecting yourself in that sometimes?
No, never. I shouldn't say never. Here's how I would answer that question. Every single morning, I have a ritual that I do. Every morning. Not some mornings, not most mornings, every morning. And the ritual starts off really easy. I get up and I drink my big glass of water. And for reasons I'm not going to go into. And then I stretch. And while I'm stretching, I'm thinking of what I'm grateful for, programming my mind. Then I get up and I go into the bathroom, do what I have to do, and then I come out and I look myself in the eyes in the mirror and I say the magic words, Joseph, I love you.
With a smile.
Yeah, and it is powerful. You know that. That's one of the assignments that I gave you, right?
Yeah.
And when you do that, people don't realize how simple and how powerful something like that is. So that right there, that's not neglect.
Okay. Looking ahead to the future, you still have 30 years to go. What is the legacy you hope to leave through all your work you do?
I always say this, the hope place, that's down the street. This is the do place, okay? And so, first off, as I said before, let's clarify what legacy is. See, most people think that legacy means when you're dead and gone, what did you leave behind? I think legacy is when I walk out of this room, when I'm no longer in front of you. When you're listening to this podcast and you shut this podcast off, That's my legacy, that what I've left behind that's still in your mind. So my legacy now is this. I'm doing my legacy right now, being with you, and I thank you so much for allowing me to be on this podcast with you. And I encourage other people to look at it that way as well. What are you doing to help yourself and to help other people as well? And that doesn't mean that you because you will become more wealthy. You'll earn more money. You'll become more healthy. You'll pay more attention to yourself. You'll pay more attention to your family. You'll do all of those things. As you learn the skills to rid yourself of the fears, to replace them with things that serve you, and to magnetize yourself and other things. Just if you'll allow me to, let me back up for a second, because I want to really be clear about magnetism and why it is so important we teach it that way. The example I like to use is this. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to me, how many times has it been that you've been sitting in your car and you feel somebody looking at you, and you look over and yes, they're looking at you? Or vice versa, you look at somebody else, they feel you looking at them, and they catch you. This is science. This is not, like I said, unicorns, crystals, and rainbows. What happens is this. When you put your attention and intention on somebody else or something else, because remember, everything is made of the same stuff, protons, neutrons, and electrons. 4 very important things happen that most people are unaware of. Number 1, your electromagnetic energy grows, and you can see it. Go on YouTube, look up Carillion photography, you'll see it, that you literally glow with an unseen force. It is the same force that the earth puts out, called magnetism, called gravity, okay? But it goes out. The second thing that happened, that which you are focusing on, that which you are putting your attention and intention on, feels it, senses it. And again, I'm using people as an example now, but it's synonymous with anything. Situations, circumstances, material things, people, and other things. So when you put your attention on it, the second thing that happens is they feel it. The third thing that happens is because they feel it, they put their attention and intention on you. And guess what happens to them? Their magnetic energy grows. The third thing that happens is because now you got 2 magnets that are like each other. They're attracted to each other. They move towards each other. But watch this. Here's what happens, is as soon as you look at that person, fear sets in. They think I'm a creep, or they maybe reject me. And we're not even thinking this consciously. It's unconsciously. And then what we do is we look away. And as soon as we do, we flip the magnet over and we actually push them away. Yeah. So what we teach people to do is this. Magnetize, use that process for whatever it is that you want. And you know the process, obviously. We're not going to go into it now. To whatever you want. And then use that process on yourself as well, so that the fear of looking away, metaphorically, goes away, so that you continue to look at what you want with desire, with hope, with wonder, and things like that. And now you become magnetized, and now you're moving towards each other. And not just you're attracting this to you, because when you did that, when you looked at that other person, you attracted that person to you. But as soon as you looked away and got scared, you pushed that person away. Last thing I want to say is this. People always say, well, if the laws of attraction are what I think about is I'm going to attract to me, does that mean that I'm attracting bad things because I'm scared or I think about bad things? The answer is no. And this, I really want people to be clear on this. It just means you're pushing what you want away. That's it. They're different
than attracting the wrong thing.
Exactly. You're pushing what you want away, because the body and the mind wants what it wants. You're not going, I don't want, I want, you're not saying, I want to be, overweight. I want to be broke. I want to be this. You're saying, I don't want to be those things. And guess what happens? When you're saying, I don't want to do things, you're also saying, I don't know what I really want. You're not looking at what you want.
This great circles back to the beginning of our interview, our discussion. Magnetism.
Yes.
If people think after listening to our conversation in this podcast, I want to have a wealthy, happy, healthy, and financially abundant life, what can they do? What can we offer them?
Well, now that COVID is over, my partners and I at Success Gids we're going to do this again next year. We were on a path of doing that before COVID happened, and we're going to do it again next year. And I believe you're going to supply a link for them.
Yeah.
that people can go to, and you'll see it here on if you're watching this, a link to go to. And well, my encouragement is this: go to the link and watch and see the truth about what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And for all the listeners, because not everybody's looking at the video version, it's www.succesgids.nl/herontdekken. And herontdekken is the Dutch word for rediscover.
Yeah.
So again, www.succesgids.nl/herontdekken. So they can go there and have a look what the event looks like and what they...
Yeah, and you'll put it in the description so they can just click on it as well. And the beauty of that, my friend, and my friends that are listening, is I want you to see what the truth is. Because, scrolling through TikTok and YouTube and all those things and everything, you can get some, entertainment and things like this. What Success Kids has done has really shown you what this really is, but not just what it really is, but what it can and is probably going to do to you, for you, and the people that are around you. Yeah. And then I will also, maybe not lastly, say that make sure you do this with other people as well. Bring other people around.
Okay, so my last question, my previous last question will be, what are the 2 tips you want to give to the listeners?
Can I give 3?
You always think outside the box, so yeah, you go ahead.
Number 1 is do something about it. You said it before, just do it. So it's the simple things people can do. So do something about it. Go to the site and take a look. My passion is I want to help you. And I am at this stage in my career, and it's the same with my partners. We do this because just like you're doing this podcast right now, because this is our passion for us. This is our purpose to do that. And so number 1 is to do something about it. Go watch it. Number 2, go watch it. Number 2 is to book yourself, because it's going to sell out, to book yourself and your friends a ticket as soon as possible. And here's the reason why. Because human beings move towards what we want. And we call it the carrot on the stick. If you put something out in the front of you, it's like, for example, if you know you're going to go on vacation, guess what you're excited about all the way up until that vacation. So if you put this on there that you know your life is going to change, then you put that out there. Then here's what happens. That's what it lives inside of you, and you look towards that, and you start to act and become and be differently. The third thing is the saying that you said before is true. What I always say about life is exactly what you dare to make it, but that's only part of the saying. So the last thing I'll say is this, to answer your question, that life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. And so the trick to life is to boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent.
Before we close down, I listened very carefully this weekend, and I did something.
And you did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always want to give somebody something. So what should I give you? Tulips or stroopwafels, the Dutch candy? What? I think you know them. So I thought, what should I give you that gives something to you, to us, to everybody? So I brought something, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. And you can read if you want, and if you don't want, put it on your desk at home. Watch it every day. Shout out loud. Make some noise and movement, and it's going to happen. Because you have something with bikes, isn't it? And Dutch people.
Yes,
motorcycles. What is it?
Well, I've been
no. The Dutch people bicycling.
Oh, bicycles.
Bicycles. What's that?
What I have with it?
You make fun of it.
Yeah, I joke about it all the time.
Okay.
Here's the reason I joke about it all the time. I ride my bicycle at home, but most Americans, they don't.
Okay. Then this is my present from me to you, and from you to me later on. If you want, you can read what I wrote down and what I made and explain it, and then we're going to close down the podcast.
Okay. You actually, just so you guys are looking at this, he took a picture of me, of 2 people riding a bicycle, and put my head on one of them. And then is that your head on the other?
Head. Okay. That's true.
And it says, I, Joseph McClendon III, will have a bike tour in Amsterdam with Edwin Rubins on or before April 14th. Thank you so much. I take you up on it. I take you up on it. I will gladly do that.
Next
Absolutely.
Year.
Yes. Yeah. Let's make this picture real.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's the reason why I gave it. Hey, Joseph, thank you very much having you here. Listeners, I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. I think it's a unique one, the first one in English, and so more people can listen to it, and so we can change life and inspire people to do something. I'm not going to say anything more about it. I think it's clear. Like it, repost it, share it with your friends, family, everybody, so that everybody can make use of the methodology, do something and change their life. Thank you very much and I will keep you posted.
Dankjewel voor het luisteren naar de Herontdekken podcast. De podcast over de zoektocht naar een nieuwe koers na 20 jaar werken in de corporate wereld. Over de zoektocht op zowel persoonlijk, professioneel als financieel vlak. En het vinden van een balans daarin. De podcast waarin ik in gesprek ga met mensen die mij geholpen hebben in die zoektocht. Heeft deze aflevering je weten te inspireren, motiveren en ondersteunen in je reis? Laat het dan weten in de comments hieronder. Deel het met vrienden, bekenden en collega's en abonneer je op mijn podcast, zodat ook jij de volgende aflevering niet zal missen. Als je de vorige aflevering gemist mocht hebben, dan raad ik je aan om zeker de vorige podcast te luisteren. Tot de volgende keer en I'll keep you posted.